Good morning, guys. It's the Canadian Art Guy. I don't know where you are right now, but here it's a beautiful day. It's a really gorgeous day. And I'm just going to expand a bit on my last video. And since this morning, and I'm not quite awake yet, I've got my Tims down here. I'm going to try not to edit this video at all because, I mean, you might as well see the real me all the time. And I'm a bit of a flaky guy, or whatever you want to call it. I noticed I'm practicing safe art today. I don't know if you can see that. I'm wearing my rubber safe art. I'm not sure how I can implement that into. Maybe I can take a brush and I can stick that in there and have like a Navy SEAL attitude of going at the painting and making it work. And when I need this brush, I can just whip it out of there. it's a horrible idea. I don't think that'll work at all. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few things in this video. Where we're at right now, where I'm going. I'm also going to talk about composition and what else? There's something else. This is probably a good time to take a sip of my coffee because I'm having a brain stall. Anyways, we'll get to it. So we might as well just, I'm going to give you a picture because I know that I'm still getting used to this whole video camera thing. And right now I'm staring at a camera and I have to get over that idea. I'm actually staring at you. I see you. That's a hard thing for me to get over. But right now I'm staring at you. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a better resolution picture of where we left off. And I've got my mouse over here and I'm going to try to find it for you. Here we go. So this is a better picture of where we're at, right? I know you really, from the comments that I got, you couldn't really see all that well. I don't know what it was, maybe the lighting. I don't use real good lighting to do this, but this is where we're at. It's more like a Jackson Pollock look. Like, and everything that I do starts off looking very abstract like this. But this is where we're going, to this kind of look right here. And if you're wondering why there's no yellow in here, well, I'm going to put a layer of blue over top, and yellow and blue makes what? Right? Yellow plus blue equals, hopefully you know this, that's what it does right there. It's a funky kind of green, and it's something that I want to work with. That's how I do this. So in my next video, I've got my Tims with me now. Thank God for coffee. I went running yesterday. I don't know how far I ran, but I was gone for like an hour and a half from where I started, or no, 2.5 hours. See, I'm not awake yet, and I'm in the good kind of pain, like everywhere, so that's good. That works. And I want to talk a bit about composition and what my composition in my paintings were, what to look for in composition. Just basic stuff right now. Nothing to worry about. Like people think this is too easy. It's not. This is actually, it's not that hard. Maybe you just need to be shown how to do it. All right, to get away from painting happy trees. And hopefully by now you've broken your fan brush in half. Maybe because you don't. I've just got a hate relationship with fan brushes. They don't work. They just don't work for what I do. You don't need it. So, all right. So when it comes to composition, if you look at this piece behind me right here, you can basically take any one of my paintings and you can cut it in half diagonally. And what I mean by that is you can take from the top right-hand corner of this piece, or the cat thing that you saw in there, and you just draw a line from here to the bottom left-hand corner like this, and you'll see heaviness and detail on this side, and you'll see light and not so much detail, and sometimes none at all. And let's just leave it like that for composition right now. There's other things, we'll get to that when I think it's important, but if you take a look through any of my art online or whatever, I'm going to show you one right now, okay? Just bear with me, I'm just going to try to find it. So yeah, here it is. This is called In the Storm, and I might ramble on here for a little bit about this piece. What it started out with was an idea. I'm passionate about a lot of things. I'm passionate about relationships and marriage, and that's where this started out as. It started out as a painting about commitment and what happens. I mean, we all go through storms in life, and marriage is no joke. And knowing marriage is no joke, that's what this is entirely about, is that this couple of swallows represents a couple. And they're going through a storm. You can see the lightning and all that stuff, and it's kind of dark, dreary time. We've all been there. We all have a choice to make. And you can choose to stay in the storm. You can choose to leave the storm, leave separately. Right? Barn swallows kind of represent that. They're very flitty, fast birds. Or you can choose what I think is the best option, is to fight. Fight hard. Do whatever it takes to make it to that light together. Hopefully not separately. Right? And that's what this entire thing is about. That's the idea. And knowing that marriage is no joke and that it's worth fighting for, okay, it really is. I went through a divorce, and that sucked. That was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. But I came out the other side. I never thought I'd make it. And no, I don't think it's right to get divorced. It wasn't my idea. I wanted to fight, but I don't want to be a hypocrite. I want to tell you about that. I want you to know about me. That painting means a lot to me, simply because I was there, okay? Now, when it comes to that particular painting, a lot of people like that painting. And most of my paintings, if you're wondering what the size are, is whatever, doesn't matter. I'm still not awake and still got my Tim's, so bear with me. Add more coffee, everything's going to be okay. Alright, I'm keeping my arms and my legs inside the vehicle. Alright, so I had this idea. That's where my composition and my drive to paint comes from. Okay, it starts with an idea. The idea was to have a storm, right? And I wanted to have a beautiful place to go to that you can choose to go to. Because I don't want to repeat myself, be redundant. I already told you what the painting is about. It's about commitment and marriage and going through a storm. And what are you going to do in that storm? Are you going to choose to stick it out, fight, or are you going to be like two barn swallows and leave? So how do I get my subject matter to do what I do? Now I know at some point in this dialogue I'm going to offend some people, but oh well. I'm not a wildlife artist, okay? I'm not a naturalist. I paint what I think are good ideas. Let's say my best paintings, the ones that don't stink, they come from a terrific idea. And I think that's why people like that painting that I just showed you, is that it's a great concept, if you can do it yourself, right? So how did I get that? Now, I painted that before there was the internet. Before you could Google image things. You can't find books with swallows in them, I don't think. I didn't try, but I do know how I did it. Now, how did I paint the clouds? Well, I went outside and I sat on my deck, and not on my deck, but I think I just sat in a lawn chair and I stared at the sky. I do that a lot, okay? I just stare. I'm the kind of guy that can just watch grass grow for a long time, or watch a stream and just focus on 3 square inches for heaven's sake. I'm an artist. I watch paint dry for a living. I'm a very patient guy. And so I just watched clouds. Just watched clouds. I didn't have any photographs. I mean, I could have taken them at the time. You know, we had cameras with film and you'd get them developed, but that takes time. So all I did was I went to my studio and I sat down and I painted storm clouds. And I kind of visualized what lightning would look like. And that's how I did that. And then I got to the point where I can pass the blue sky. I've got the clouds in there. It's working. I think I've got the lightning. I know I'm at the point now where I need my 2 happy little swallows. How did I do that? Right? Okay, now I have nothing against taking photographs and working off of that. Sometimes I have to. I mean, the bison piece that you can't see that's off camera over there. I'm not about to get into the fence and walk up to him and say hello. that would prove that I am as stupid as I say that I am. But there is a bison farm 1 mile from where I'm sitting, and that's where I took the photographs for those, because I knew I needed some photo work for that. But for these swallows, it was a little bit different. I did take my camera out, and at the time I had a really nice camera, and it had a nice long telephoto lens, and it let in a lot of light, and it did what I wanted it to do. And I went to a bridge about 3 miles out of town where I knew there's lots and lots of barn swallows. And I mean, there was, I don't know what you call them, packs. A flock doesn't quite do it. It's like a swarm of bees. When they get active towards the evening, like before the sun sets, they swarm around. And I kind of doubted that I was going to get anything substantial when it came to photographing these things, because how are you going to get them to hold still, right? And I took 2 rolls of film. 48 frames later, I knew for a fact that I didn't get the right photograph. I mean, there's just no way. They wouldn't hold still. And I didn't want to take a photograph of a barn swallow sitting on a wire. Okay? So here comes the offensive part. Like I said, I'm not a wildlife artist. And most wildlife artists will do what I'm about to say, but they just won't tell you. Okay? What I did was, after taking 48 frames of barn swallows and missing, and I know I missed it, so what did I do? Oh no! Did he kill one? Yeah, okay, so I went back home and I got my 12 gauge camera. Okay? My 12 gauge camera only takes 8 pictures at a time. If you get my drift. So I went back to that same bridge with my new camera and I put 8 frames into it, and I stood under the bridge because I know I'm going to get wet, right? Because under a bridge is water, and that's where I was. And so I'm staring at these swarms, or it's more like an infestation of mosquitoes in front of you. That's what barn swallows are like, right? And so I'm pointing my camera at these barn swallows. And they won't hold still, but I'm waiting until they pack up and I take a picture. A 12 gauge picture, right? But boom, and nothing. Next time I didn't have to think. They still were there. They're not scared. There's just millions and millions of them. At least it looked that way. I know there's billions of them in Manitoba. But I took my next frame, boom, nothing. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got 6 shots left, right? I get down to my last one, and now I'm actually getting angry because I made the trip twice. I first took 2 rolls of film of barn swallows, and then I went back, and now the sun is setting, by the way, and I'm losing light. I can't really see a lot of what I'm trying to do anymore. And now I'm getting upset because I can't get a specimen. That's what I'm trying to do, get a specimen. So this was a time for patience. Speaking of patience, okay, I'm not always patient, and that night I wasn't patient at all. At this point, I'm kind of upset. I'm just like, come on, seriously, slow down. All right, so I'm gonna put my coffee here for a second, and hopefully it doesn't spill. All right, so this is what happened. So this barn swallow came along in front of me, and he was just doing this in front of me, right? And I wasn't buying it because I had already shot 7 shots at swallows and hit nothing. Nothing. I don't know how that happened. And this guy is just like, nah, 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 right in front of me. And he's doing this, and I'm doing this. And I finally believed him, and I think I even closed my eyes and I'm like, because it's my last frame in my 12 gauge camera. I pulled the trigger, and I saw nothing but feathers. And I thought, oh man, I destroyed the only valid picture I have of what I'm trying to do. But when I I waded into the water and I got them, and I realized, I don't know where all the feathers came from because I had a perfect sample of a barn swallow, and that's what I needed. And so I put them into a little zippy Ziploc bag, whatever. And I felt much better about myself, even though some of you are going, I can't believe he did that. But a lot of even wildlife artists, that's how they get their specimens, okay? And I went back home and I threw them in the freezer. And like I said, I was at the point in that painting, it was time to paint the subjects, right? And there's one of the little things that people don't know about that painting is that that's the same bird. But I painted him twice, okay? And when I went to work in the morning, I think 4 o'clock in the morning the next day, I went to the freezer and I got my specimen, and then I took some fishing line, and he's frozen, right? Like a frozen turkey, and I kind of adjusted his wings to where I wanted them to be. And I hung them from the ceiling on this side of me because I'm right-handed and I like to look at things over here. I hung them with fishing line from his tail and from his wings right in front of me, like this. I positioned them to how I wanted them to look, and I painted them. And I think it only took me like half an hour to do. And then after that, I put him back in the freezer because he was starting to thaw out and he was starting to like fly differently, and I didn't want that. So put him back in the freezer, let him sit there for about an hour, brought him back out, and I adjusted his wings so that I wanted some movement in the painting in the next bird that I painted. And so I adjusted his wings in a wing down position, kind of repositioned his legs, did the same thing, fishing line on the roof, had the bird right next to me, and painted him. Half hour later, I think it was about a half hour later, I signed my name to the painting. I thought I'd said enough. That was it. That's how I got my subject. And I'll see if I can. I'm going to show you that painting one more time, just so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to leave them up here for about 30 seconds or so. Actually, it's exactly 30 seconds because I just clicked on 30 seconds. So you can kind of see, there's my barn swallow, hung him up frozen, and he's still alive in the painting forever. Okay, so that's how I justify it. he's alive forever. And then you can see the one that I adjusted, the one that's got the wings down position. Yeah, that's how I did that. So now that you've seen how I got my specimen for that painting and how I got my idea, the idea came from commitment in marriage. That's what that's about, and that's how I did that. Okay. Now, a lot of my paintings that you've seen so far, if you watched my videos, have been following me. All those images. No, I've never been to Africa. So how did I do the leopards? I went to the zoo and I took pictures. Okay, like it's just common sense stuff. What I would recommend strongly, I couldn't recommend this more because I don't do it, never have, never will. Now we have all this stuff. We've got, all these different browsers, Firefox, and, Chrome, and all this stuff. We've got smartphones. Anybody can go on Google and you can Google image anything. And I don't like that. I really don't. I'm of the mindset that don't paint what you don't know. Okay? And if you're going to Google image something and somebody really likes it and sees it on Google image, you're going to, pardon me, I'm still drinking my Tim Hortons here, you're going to discredit yourself. People are going to see that you cheated. Okay? It's really important not to do that. You're not going to see any of my subjects on there. You can do it without. If you're living in an apartment block and you think, well, I never get out to where I go, like out to the trails, I'm heavy into mountain biking and I see some of the most amazing stuff. So, okay, so if you feel you can't do that, if you can't get out onto the trails or out into nature, then just go outside. Even if you're in an apartment block in a city, go outside, sit down, look at the grass. I bet you there's dandelions in the grass. Just see how the different light during the day, how it changes and how it reflects on that. And maybe that interests you. Maybe you want to paint a pot of petunias or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's there. Your subject is there. It's waiting for you. A lot of what I do in the painting that I'm going to show, I'm in the process of showing you how to paint, I don't have any photographs. It's just right here. I've seen so many rainforests and stuff. Just a second. Okay, so I had to pause the video for just a second there because somebody was mowing the grass right outside my window. So there we go. My apologies. I am back, and I did watch a little bit of the video, and I do still realize that the video quality isn't to where I want it yet or you want it yet, and I do say a lot, and I do raise my voice and go, right? You get it? Right? I get it. Okay. That's what makes me me, though. Those are the goofy parts of me that make me me. I'm cool with that. I'm okay. So that's what I would not do. I would not go to Google or any of those things and Google image things and save them to your computer and then have your laptop beside you, because you're breaking copyright and you don't really know your subject. You haven't been to, let's say, the zoo, or you haven't been outside and seen wild Gaillardia, one of my most favorite flowers. The only way I can paint it from memory now, initially I took photographs. Actually, initially I picked them. Because, I mean, they're everywhere and it's not illegal to pick them, so I picked them. And I had them right in front of me to paint them, to include them in my paintings, like any other flower, any other wildflower. There's only a few that you can't pick, so that's how you do that. You can have a vase full of grass beside you and just study it and notice that, hey, there's little flecks of black in there. And there's burnt umber, and wow, I didn't know it was, and that's how you do that. So those are some of the techniques of what to look for when you're about to paint something. And yes, you can do it. You can. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't really consider myself talented at all. I just started with Bob Ross, and I became uncomfortable, like after a very short time, of being able to paint what he did and do it in such a short time, like in a half hour. I'd be done, and I'd be like, what now, right? So my eureka moment is when I saw Robert Bateman's paintings, and I was like, well, that's like a photograph compared to what I'm doing. I'd like to see if I can do that. And that's where my idea started. And I saw other painters, other artists that you may not be as familiar with. And I actually ended up having a show with Robert Bateman, I think twice or something like that. And it worked out really well. It was really cool. He's such a down-to-earth guy, such a good guy. And something I learned from him is that what you see in books, that's not exactly what his original paintings look like. He paints actually a lot looser than I do. Looser, meaning not as detailed. It looks detailed, but I use way more brush strokes than he does. Okay? And that's the main difference between he and I, is that he paints fast. I mean, he could probably do what I do. What takes me 3 days probably takes him 2 hours. All right, so there's a major difference right there between him and I. So I think I'm going to end this video because I'm boring myself. So you guys inside this camera right here are probably getting really bored with this Canadian art guy, Canadian art idiot, whatever you want to call me. But I still practice safe art. See, whoop, I spilled some coffee on my floor. Oh well, there's paint down there too. So I'm going to end this video, and thanks very much for enduring the whole talk about how I took a picture of the burn swallow. I'm not really sorry. It's how I had to do it, okay? And the picture in my brain about this painting that I'm doing, and I really don't want to paint on the cat again, so please, somebody tell me what you want to do instead of a cat, because I really don't want to put, my cat's name is Walter, and Walter is a great subject because I've done that before. I've had Walter on my lap. I'm just going to put my coffee down, and I flattened out his ears like this and kind of crooked them, and then I paint what I see. But eventually Super Walter is what I call him, because he has a cape, and he always wants to have his cape on. So when you strap his cape on, he starts flying around here like crazy, like Super Walter, like he's got extraterrestrial powers and stuff. It's really funny, but Walter doesn't like to sit there forever and be painted. So I'd like to do something other than Walter, because basically I paint Walter, and then what I do is I add the tufts that on the ears that a lynx has, and I add the big paws, and of course Walter's black, and because I'm not racist, and I add the color of a lynx. I've actually seen them. I haven't taken a picture of them because I'm just not that fast. But I ski a lot and I mountain bike a lot, so I see a lot of cool stuff out there, and I know what they look like. I know what their markings are like, and so that's all I do is I paint my cat, and I don't paint them that way. I just add the markings and the trademarks of a lynx. So I really don't want to paint a lynx. I really don't want to. I've painted way too many. So if you could please tell me what you want to paint as a subject matter, and let's do that. Okay, let's think emotion, right? This painting is a very emotional piece. I think here comes the lawnmower again, so I'm going to have to end this real quick. But it's about being in that place where you're funky and everything's not working in life and you're depressed and you're down, and that's where the cry is coming from in the cat. That's the idea behind this painting. So if you really want to put a cat in there crying, I will. But I painted so many of them, I'd like to paint anything but Walter. If you really want to, I can show you how to paint a cat. That's fine. You know, it might be kind of funny. Walter sitting on my lap and you can actually see it. I know it's funny. But it's a battle. He doesn't want to sit there forever. He wants to go put his cape on and fly around like Super Walter. So please let me know what you want to do. Again, thanks for watching. I hope that this has helped you in some shape, way, or form, or whatever. And I'm just going to leave you with a few images of my art again. And thanks very much for watching the Canadian Art Guy. Here comes the lawnmower, so I gotta go. Have a great day.